This week on the Push All Loads podcast, we talk Easter eggs, protein bars, tearing your pectoral muscles because you're on too many steroids, and the body part split, and single limb training research. Amazing. And 3, 2, 1. It's officially been a year in lockdown, Daniel. Woo!
Hey guys, welcome to the Push Pull Legs podcast with myself, Damik.
Me, Tom. What's going on, Bob?
That's seriously depressing, isn't it? That is depressing.
Seriously depressing, yeah.
A year of our life, of our young lives, has been spent.
Young lives.
Well, look, I suppose we're still here, right? I suppose that's probably some people don't have that luxury, but it does feel a bit like it's been a very long time. I've seen all the memes come out today of Boris Johnson saying 3 weeks to flatten the curve. Oh God! If only we knew now what we knew then. No, if only we knew then what we know now is probably what I'm going to say. Yeah, Jesus, man! Like it's been a tough year. I think I said to Laura that I think it was yesterday. I think because we've had to just keep going, you don't realise just how exhausted you are. But this summer, so many people need a holiday. So what do? Ban foreign holidays. That's right. Yeah, ban foreign holidays. Yeah, brilliant. Yeah.
I feel people haven't realised you're a day behind that the travel ban has been extended to the end of June. Am I right?
Well, they reckon on Monday, don't they? They reckon that's what going to announce on Monday. I mean, if it's in the papers, it's true because they just leak all the papers. But yeah, they reckon up to £5,000 fine for going abroad without a reasonable excuse.
That is less than the 10 years in prison that it was previously.
True. I mean, true. If there is such a draconian measures from a government, it is that they've reduced it from a 10-year jail sentence to £5,000. Brilliant. I mean, it would take some people that many years to save up that sort of money. To be honest, I find it baffling. I just genuinely I understand it. I understand to a certain point. I understand you don't want another variant getting all this sort of shit. But 50% of the fucking country are vaccinated, and the most vulnerable people. We've done it in that order, and it's So if cases do rise, and I have to stay in bed for a week with the flu, who cares?
It's a weird one. Weren't we saying we thought we'd get to a point of maybe when you get to the 50s or the 45-year-olds are vaccinated, you're like, should we just open it up?
The whole point. Yeah, that's the thing. The whole point of this is to protect the people is to stop the intensive care beds getting filled up, right? And from all the data that they've had, those beds were being filled up by people between the age of 100 to 50, right? On a sliding scale of those that are older, right?
You went on the top end first. I was like, where's he going from 100?
Yeah,
is he going
100? I went down. But no, only because as well, that's the way that the vaccines were given, right? So those people who are more vulnerable have had more time to have the vaccine, right? All that sort of shit. So anyone below the age of 50 who is medically needs it, right? Like my dad, for example, has already had his. He's over 50, so not a good example. But everyone who's in danger of taking a hospital bed, needing that help, has had it. Just let us get to the fuck on with our lives, right? And if I get it, right, and I get a bad dose of it and I have to stay in bed for a week, I stay in bed for a week. But then, do you know what? I'm probably going to have some sort of immunity, right? Great. Let me crack on my life again. It baffles me. It just baffles me that they're still scared of it when the thing you're scared of, we have now hopefully remedied in the vaccine. And it's so what was the point of giving on a vaccine if you're going to lock everyone up again and stop them going abroad on holiday? What was the fucking point? What's the point?
It's weird, isn't it?
I understand. We got to this point, right? And all that, whatever's been and gone, it's been and gone. But you're just fear mongering now, scaremongering, and just creating you're just scared of it. And it's for what? I just don't understand it. So you're now vaccinating the whole country, and now what? We're still in lockdown. We're still gonna have restrictions. What's the fucking point? I don't get it. It really annoys me.
Yeah, I can see. But they're also the case of they need to do the second doses. I understand that most people, according to the data, will be already vaccinated from that first dosage, but you can't it's a blanket rule for all.
But even from the second one, up to the 20th of May, which is when they were going to let people out on holiday, the majority of them are still going to have the second one by then.
All the old people anyway. All those old.
I just find it baffling. I just find it so weird.
But mate, but just think we'll be out probably. Well, we in theory should be safer in this country than a lot of the world.
Yeah, we will, I suppose. But there comes a point where I think it's like, at what point are you just controlling people for the sake of controlling people because you can? Like, at what point is it just about?
We saw what happened in Bristol, down the road from you, mate. Where were you?
I was in Bristol.
Where were you?
No. I don't know, man. I'm just getting really frustrated with it because I don't like the whole conspiracy theories and all this sort of shit. And obviously COVID is real. I'm not a fucking idiot. But there's a point where you kind of have to ask the questions like, why are they just taking away so many people's like freedoms and like all this sort of stuff when there's so much data suggesting it's probably not necessary. I don't know. I'm not getting into it. It's a fitness podcast, isn't it?
It is a fitness podcast, so we're going to move on from that, mate. COVID's still happening. We did say last week.
In 2 years, we'll still be doing it. We'll still be talking about it.
Of course we will. In 10 years, Isabel's going to have to learn about it in school and what was happening and why it was such a bad thing to happen. So, yeah, last week, obviously, the gym shut down. And then it was as of this time of recording, we had Boris coming on our screens and going, we have to stay at home. And then it was like, oh, new lockdown. Oh, this is new. This is weird. I don't really know what's happening. Should I wipe the door? Don't really do that now. So, yeah, should I wear 10 masks? Where are all the masks? Oh, no. Everybody's... But at least we got toilet paper. All we can say.
Yeah, all those people that fucking did that. Remember? Fucking
like, me and Chloe were quite like, yeah, we already ordered like 12. We literally purchased a 12 roll, but each like a week before as well. And we were like, we're pretty good. Nice. No need for that. It was weird though, wasn't it? Because like we went in, I remember going into Waitrose and it like all the meat was gone. Like everything was gone. We're like, so this is just strange.
It's just brought out the worst in humankind, and I think that the thing that topped it off this week was, again, I shared it on my Instagram yesterday, was you've got political leaders in the EU and the UK, World Health Problem, and they're withholding vaccines from countries in some sort of political war, and you're like, they're just awful people, like, and that's the thing that frustrates me is the people who are supposed to be leading these countries, they're just awful people. They are awful. Like, I don't think they genuinely care at all. It baffles me. And then, like, you got Pfizer. I think the company came out and were like, "Dear EU, you do realise if you start playing this game, the UK produce all the ingredients we need to make this vaccine, so they're just gonna not send it. Like, don't be so childish." Basically. It's a
fact of like we need lots of countries working together to make these vaccines anyway. So that's the point. It's just like, oh, right, okay. Anyway, we are about 2 weeks? We're 2 weeks out from Easter.
Yes, we are.
We are. We have been asked. I think it was current. Our favourites, best Easter egg out there at the moment.
Well, we don't know because we've not tried them yet. How can we know? I can't remember what I had last year. For me, I still like a cream egg. I mean, they're very, very small now. They might as well call them mini eggs now. But I did see
get smaller, don't they? Yeah.
Ridiculous. I did see. What did I see? I tell you what I saw. Oh, M&S dippy eggs. Right. I bought some for these on the old Ocado shop. White chocolate eggs filled with indulgent caramel ganache. Now is
that going to be similar to egg and spoon?
Yeah. Hang on, where's my camera? Here it is.
But more like a ganache thing. Yeah,
it comes good. Comes in a little box. See, I got some of them. But I also, I just don't think you can go wrong with a Lint Bunny. I just think they're incredible.
See, I was actually thinking today, like, I don't know whether I'm just, I keep to my roots. I'm actually cheap. And I'm not a big fan. I like Lint chocolate, but I'm not like, oh, this is the best. It's so nice. I'm not going to be like, hands down rather have some Cadbury's any day, like over Lint. I don't actually like, so you know those Lint things, like the balls with the
truffle balls,
the truffle with the stuff inside. I don't really like them. I'm not a big. They're okay, but I'm like.
It's probably because you're not putting them in the fridge, mate. You need to put them in the fridge. They're better then. They're better than when they come out of the fridge.
Brilliant.
That'll be it.
I don't know. I think like I had them as a kid, and I was like, my taste buds weren't as refined as Daniel's. Clearly, living you were up north, and it was not a big fan. But
the chocolate I got when I was a kid was Kinnerton chocolate, so anything's an upgrade from that. Fuck yeah, no.
That's Kinnerton, not Kinder, which is a very different story.
No, Kinder's a good chocolate.
Kinder's a great chocolate. But I would go, I'd get a massive Kinder egg. I'd be down for that. But like Easter chocolate I've had already, I've been quite good this year. I'm normally the first person who's buying Easter eggs, like full size ones, and just eating them as if it was like, I don't know. Yeah. I was having like an orange on the way home, and I'd eat the whole egg, essentially. But because I haven't been working out, I felt like I don't really deserved it.
I've had my I always buy like a pack of 4 or 5 cream eggs and get through them over the space of a couple of weeks, and that's my fix. I'm like, that's cool. I don't need any more. Like once I've had them, and then Easter, I literally just bought some stuff for Isabel and Laura for next weekend, but not going too crazy.
No, I'm quite enjoying every now and again. If I pop into a shop, I might pick up one of those little Maltesers bunnies or the Kit Kat bunnies. All those. I'm all
about those things, like the little eggs and stuff. I do like a good Easter egg, a big one, but I don't need loads of them. I think it's more the other eggs. Like,
the little weird things that come out. Like I feel like it's come with age as well. I like the little treats, and it's just like, I have a little bit of
like
that.
The Oreo eggs. The Oreo eggs.
The Oreo eggs. I've had a couple of those, and then you've got the Reese's egg, that kind of thing. Maybe so. If I wouldn't do that, like it would say current best eggs at the moment, I'd get a selection of those little things and be like, there you go, like an advent calendar kind of thing, and you'd be like, Bosh. There you go.
And the Reese's eggs are perfect for that.
The Reese's eggs are great, yeah. So do something like that. I would be like, get a multi-packs of like, because it's just like a little bit treat. Because if I feel like if I have that whole egg, I'm gonna eat the whole egg. Like,
so guys, if you want to send us a selection of those eggs, just drop us a message. We'll send you our address, and we're happy to review them on the show and shout you out.
Yeah, we can do that. I mean, does that mean Dan's basically? Just means Dan wants to review some protein bars.
Oh yeah, mate.
I mean, should we have a little rundown of what we're meant to be talking about today? So obviously, Easter eggs covered. We obviously got protein bars. Daniel wants to talk about somebody tearing their pectoral muscle. And announce of that because he found it gross and he's 6 years old. I kind of want to talk about a little bit about single limb exercises and the body part split, just as a thing. Get annoyed by me. I can rant. Dan rants on his Instagram. I think I'm gonna do an Instagram like 60-second thing on the body part split as well, because it does fuck me off, and I can't believe it's still a thing. All right.
Make sure you do it on IGTV though, for the old algorithm. Don't post it as a normal video.
Oh god. Okay.
Make it 1 minute and 1 second and post it on IGTV.
Noted. All right, mate. Protein bars.
Go on then. Right.
We have ordered from another company, but we ordered last week. I think a day after the show, didn't we? And they haven't done it yet. So yeah, we hopefully will be able to review from that company. And I did say on my Instagram, they reposted it, that we will review them. So, but these the last two we have, right? So we've got another protein brownie.
We've got another protein brownie from Mountain Joe's. Mountain Joe's protein brownie. This one is chocolate. I mean, it is literally a chocolate bar. 14 grams of protein, 21 grams of carbs. I'm pretty sure that's pretty close to what's in a Mars bar, with 12 grams of protein, giving it 240 calories for a 60-gram bar. Now, 240 calories for 12 grams of protein is absolutely pointless. It's not a protein bar. It's just a chocolate bar.
12 grams, that's bad, isn't it? And then the other one we have is a C&P jam roly poly. I'm more interested about the taste more than anything else, because if we look at that net, if we extrapolated those numbers out, 194 calories for 14 grams of protein, we can probably say it's not too fantastic. It'd probably get nearer if it was the same calorie content in the brownie, it would get to the 20 grams of protein. So I guess per grammage, per calorie, it's better, but it's still not great.
No.
Like 14
that
grams
protein brownie is very, very good. Very, very good. But it should be because it's just a brownie. Like, it tastes like someone's tried to make a brownie and tried to make it slightly low calorie, and they've succeeded compared to normal brownie. But it's not.
It's got like the
nice.
bottom that's like almost stuck to the bottom of it.
Yeah, it is nice, and it tastes. There's a bit of an aftertaste of protein, like the dryness of a protein bar that you get, but it is just a protein, like a brownie. It's not. It's what it reminds me of, those low-dough brownie bars. If anyone's ever had one of those, a little bit more of a decadent version of that is what it tastes like. It tastes nice. Like, it's not bad, but it ain't winning no prizes because it's 14 grams of protein or whatever. 12 grams of protein.
If that was a good amount of protein, then that'd be probably up there because it tastes quite good.
It's 12 grams of protein.
But it's 12 grams of protein. It's not a protein bar. That's like the protein Weetabix.
This one is jam roly poly. I mean, I've never seen this bar before in my life.
That's the point, Daniel. We're not going to buy bars that everybody has. We're not going to be like, hey guys, we're going to do the review of our Mars bar. I don't know if you heard one of these before. We're giving we're shopping local. These random brands that we never heard of. So it does smell of a jam roly poly. So it smells of jam, which is nice. So I'm enjoying that. And it's got a nice little picture on it. Batch number, all that stuff. CNP Professional or Official CNP is their Instagram handle. That's all right. Packaging's basic, isn't it? But
it's all right. It's all right. It's not going to win any awards. It's just
just straight down the middle.
I think what companies have started to do is reduce the amount of protein because they've realised that's what makes it taste shit, and they've added in other stuff. So this has got 14 grams of protein in. You can kind of taste it's not as dry. It's not like got that protein bar texture, but it's just like a bit of a nothing bar to it. It's not anything. It's not really that tasty. You've got some crunchy bits in it. Texture's a bit different, but it's not. It's just a.
It's not great. That's not great.
No,
I'm not
just like
it. It's just a bar. That's all it is. That's a bar of jam roly poly. I'm gonna have another bite of my brownie because the brownie's tasty.
I mean, I'll tell you what. Here you go. That's what I would say is, I'd finish it, but I wouldn't buy another one. I wouldn't throw that away. What was the one we had before we threw away? What was that one? It was awful.
I don't know. The one that had loads of
I can't remember what it was now.
Loads of protein. The 30 gram protein one.
Yes, that one. Oh my god,
yeah.
Yes. That one was thrown away. That was
I just edited the video for that, and I, for life me, could not remember the name of it.
Yeah. See, whereas that CMP one, I would finish it, and I just would be like, it was completely average and very, very forgettable. Very, very forgettable. Not worth it. This one, the chocolate one, does taste better, but the macros on it are even worse. Like, at least that one, you're saving yourself 50 calories compared to this one for more protein, by the way.
But it does taste good, the protein, especially after having that one. And you're like, oh, that's actually quite tasty. Yeah.
It's still a bit dry, though, the brownie one. Obviously, it's got protein in it, but...
I think that's the case.
Well, I'd finish them both, but I wouldn't buy any more of them. There you go.
Yeah,
that's a good
I think
review.
They're like... The jam roly poly does nothing for me. That's a 2 to 3 out of 10. The protein brownie, I would sacrifice the calories. If I had another, what would it be? Another quarter of this, and that'd be the same calories as that. I'd still choose the protein brownie all day. Even for the less protein.
The chocolate brownie one is 5.5. The roly polies are 3.
Yeah. I'd have the chocolate brownie, and then I would eat some dry protein powder instead of having the jam roly poly one. There you go. Yep, there you go. That's
being a bit harsh. It's not bad. It's just not great.
It's just not a fan. Also, it's completely biased that I'm a complete chocoholic. and anything that's a little bit more gooey and kind of verging on, like the rainbow cakes and all like the gummy stuff. It's just really not me. So if you want to play straight back with me, give me some chocolate on it, and then I'm probably going to like it. Whereas, this has got jam. I like jam. I like jam and porridge. But yes, no, I'm not the one who's going to be picking up Skittles or like what are the good? I don't know what other gummy ones. You like Roundtree's fruit pastels and stuff like that, aren't you? You're not a man.
I do like.
Yeah, the gum drops. You like the drops, don't you? I feel like you're a person that likes the little drops.
Jelly tots, yeah.
Jelly tots, yeah.
Like all that stuff.
Yeah,
all that
chocolate all day. Yeah, over candy. No, but yeah, chocolate definitely. I think that's a family thing as well. We're all chocolate over sweets, as it were. That's a good question. We have to do that. If we buy one of those big candy things with like candy hearts and all that bull crap, or the refreshers and the blackjacks and what are the purple Parma violets? Ooh, Parma violets! What a bad sweet that is. Who's buying them? Jesus,
not a fan of them. Definitely
since the 1940s, has anybody eaten any of those? They're just, you have like one, you're like, oh, Jesus, that is bad.
I doubt it.
it. Parma violets. Let us know if you like Parma violets, and if you probably already had your vaccine. I'm not gonna lie. If you like Parma violets, so
brilliant.
All right, mate. Someone tore their pectoral muscle.
Oh yeah, so some guy was training with Larry Wheels. I don't know who it was, but he was doing
Larry Wheels is, by the way.
Oh, Larry Wheels is just like a big American bodybuilder, I think. It was shared on.
Round it down.
Yeah, fair point. It was shared on the Form Police's page. I don't know if it was shared as an actual video or on the DM on the stories. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not up there now. But yeah, basically what happened was he was training with Larry Wheels, and he's gone down for a big old bench press. I think he's trying to do 1 rep max. Must have been 3 or 4 plates on each side. And he's come down. As he's come down, he got to about the point where there's the most tension on your pec, and then it's just completely torn off his arm, and it's almost like rolled up into his chest, and he's crawled under it. And Larry's obviously taking a bath at this point, and he's screaming and all this sort of stuff. And I've had a few conversations with people about it, and my very limited knowledge, this is as well, of lifting heavy weights for one. But no, it's like, obviously as a bodybuilder, you don't press. Yeah. As a bodybuilder, obviously you don't need to be training like 1 rep max, 2 rep max. You don't need to be trying that. It's just ego. It's just ego as a bodybuilder. Yeah. Right? But I had a few people message, and they were sort of saying, it's a good example of why you shouldn't rush back into the gym when you go. And not saying that's what he did, but when you go back in, don't be lifting, don't be doing 1 rep maxes and all this sort of stuff. You need to ease way into it. And I was like, well, yeah, to a point, there's that. But I was like, people also forget, and again, this is my limited knowledge, but I'm pretty sure that when it comes to steroid use, which these guys are clearly doing, right, is that they forget, or people forget, that with steroids, your muscles get bigger and stronger, but your tendons and your joints don't necessarily increase in strength at the same rate. And a lot of people find this with bodybuilding and stuff, is that they get injured more frequently. It's why they tend to do higher volume stuff and less tension and less really, really heavy loading and more lower rep range work. Because they find that their tendons, they get tendonitis more, they get joint problems, because everything else grows at a much, much quicker rate. This is from what I know. I could be wrong, and if anyone's a steroid genius, let me know. But from what I can tell and what I know about it, but also from people who I know in the industry who talk about this sort of stuff, is that this is why they talk about recovery, and why they talk about being enhanced, and why you shouldn't actually grow as quickly as possible. Within reason, there should be a point of it where you go, right, you need to make sure that everything else catches up. So it could just be actually that he's just grown too much too quickly, and his tendons just couldn't take the amount of load that was going through. His muscles probably could, but at some point something's got to give, and it's the weakest thing that's going to give at any one point. And that's what was weakest on there, as a tendon. And people seem to forget that, I think, with this sort of thing. Is that's the thing with steroid use at that level, is it's not about how quickly your muscles can catch up sometimes. It's how quickly your body can catch up with everything. And that's what I wonder if that's what happened there, or if it was poor warm up and stuff like that. But it does seem to me that you see a lot of these sort of these injuries in big ass bodybuilders that lift a lot of weight, right? And it's kind of like, is it the weight, or is it the fact that they're trying to grow too much too quick, and not thinking about the physiology behind, obviously, muscle growth, but not only that, the other components of muscle that are more, for example, your tendon is more like ligament and that sort of concentrated thing. And the reason that in football, when I used to work in football, that tendon injuries was such a problem was that they don't get the same amount of blood flow as muscle does, because it's not got as much muscle belly. It's got a lot more of that like fibrous tissue. Because it's like with the Achilles, for example, that's what provides that spring and that elasticity, is that it's that much stored energy in it that it can explode quicker. It's not necessarily your muscles that are that quick. Sometimes it's the Achilles tendon as well, and it's why that's such a dangerous place to get injured, because it takes so long to recover because it has such a reduced blood flow. Same thing with that sort of thing. It's an issue that crops up time and time again. Yeah, that was just what I wanted to say about it, really, was when you go back into the gym, it's not necessarily the fact that you're more likely to get that sort of injury straight away.
Yeah.
My point of view with going back into the gym is like, yes, DOMS happens and you recover from DOMS within 3 or 4 weeks. You might not get DOMS as bad. That does not mean your joints and your tendons won't be like fully recovered at that speed. They will take weeks and months to catch up to the rest of your body. And it's why I wouldn't encourage you to go straight back in and after 4 weeks be like, right, I can lift heavy loads again now. It's like, no, your back, your knees, your shoulders, your hips, your elbows will all take longer to adapt to the new weights than your muscles will. So if you've not been lifting really, really heavy weights at home and you've just been doing pump stuff and using bands or lighter dumbbells or single leg work, do not jump back in doing back squat with a barbell and in 4 weeks think you should try and go for your 3, 4, 5, even 8 rep max, because your joints and your back, your body will not be used to that loading after 4 weeks of doing it and increasing it over time. That's what I was going to say, is your body has loads of elements to it that need to recover. Do not assume that because you don't get really, really bad DOMS and you can't walk anymore, and you can walk now, whereas the first week you couldn't, that your body is now somehow able to deal with that load. It's not.
Yeah.
That's what I want to say.
It's interesting, isn't it? I think there's definitely plausibility. I've never really thought about it as well. And I think coming from a place of, I like training tendons, a lot of the bouncy and all that kind of crap that I do is about shoving energy. Well, a lot of the training we do is like shoving energy into a tendon to make it thicker, stronger, whatever. Mm-hmm. And maybe like I would hazard a guess my tendons are probably bigger and stronger than my muscles in some respects. Would be like, actually, they can take a hell of a lot more load.
You train for it more, but you train for it more because you know what how tendons work and what they're designed to do, which is short, snappy, quick movements, not slow, stretched, eccentric, like all the time. That's not how they're going to get stronger. Necessarily. That's how muscles get stronger and get thicker and bigger.
But it's also, but just with the plausibility of taking on the steroids, right? Being an enhanced athlete, one would assume that the reason why this stuff works is that it's pumped into blood supply. I would say so, and that would be a good. I think. I mean, Dan, you probably know more about this because I don't even move in the bodybuilding world and like TUEs and all this kind of crap. But you'd assume that happens because of that. But then you have two types of tendon, right? You have sheathed and unsheathed tendon. And the most dominant one is going to be sheathed. And it's found across the body. But there's going to be there's not like all gone, but there's a limited amount of blood supply to the tendon compared to the muscle. And that's just, you can physically see that. It's not red, right? So whereas the muscle is red, shock horror. And then that guy does not get as much blood supply, therefore will probably not be as stimulated by whatever enhanced drug you are about to use, which therefore will make it lag behind any growth that it's happening. I think there's a safe assumption to make. I would say so. So that's probably the issue. So the sheath tendon, this is probably the biggest one. It has you have a fibrous tendon bit and then like a synovial sheath. So you've got fibrous tendon and it's covered in like with synovial fluid, like synovial sheath in the tendon. So that's what kind of makes it sheathed and unsheathed. But it kind of permits like where it's going to stretch to, that kind of thing. So if anybody wants to know what's happening at a tendon, that's kind of what it does. But yeah, it's just, I'd say it's down to blood supply. And if tendons could take it on, then they'd become thicker. But you're right, yeah, tendons are, they're designed to absorb load, and they're fibrous, right? And like elastic and all that kind of bullshit. So that's the point.
Yeah, exactly. And like you see it a lot in basketball players. Again, another thing that I'm interested in, but they get a lot of Achilles problems and they take ages to come back from them. Ages and ages. And they're actually, half the time when they get an injury, they're wishing it's calf, not Achilles. They're wishing it. And again, I've seen it in football. I've seen players get Achilles injuries and they're never the same player again. Never the same again. It just can't be recuperated as well as other injuries can. I'm sure Alex would probably be able to give you a much better idea of all this sort of stuff.
I know, like, in terms of like blood vessels and stuff, they're only in certain parts of the tendon, as far as I know. And whereas the muscle will have like, it's just full of like essentially blood vessels and cell membrane, all that kind of stuff. So it can get to kind of everywhere. And there's only like small insertion points, because tendon does have a little bit of blood supply. It's not like ligament where it's like fuck all.
It's just limited. It's just very, very limited.
In certain points as well. So, and the injury is going to be far worse. Shockingly. But yeah, poor lad, tearing your pec. I've seen the bicep one, and like the ruptured bicep of it going ping, and then recoiling back or like coming off that bit. It's like, ooh, it's not a nice thing to look at as well. But yeah, on your point of going back into the gym, I'd say don't scaremonger people, Daniel. Jesus.
But I think it's important to remember.
I think it's just to be aware of what you've been doing, right? So just for an instance, so luckily, I have actually trained in the gym the last like 4 weeks, only little bits, like one session a week, just because we've been filming in one. I've like done basically, as long as I've got a camera set up, I'm all right. Felt very good, but I didn't record anything. So like, all these other bodybuilders like, yeah, we're recording. I'm like, well, I'm sorry, I couldn't give a shit. I'm going to bounce around and do stuff. You have no idea what I'm doing. I'm like, that looks boring. Yeah, good. But yeah, all I did was I did some back squats, some split squats. And so one of my sessions was pull-ups, some split squats, and like some med ball slams. And then I went and did like a single arm press, and that's it. And I was just like, I did about 4 exercises each time, partly because I was knackered, but partly because I was just like, I know I have not trained under load for a long time. And I was really like kind of meh with what was going on the weight as well. Like I did some reverse, I also did some landmine stuff, because I was like, I'm going to do some reverse lunges with a landmine. Don't really know what I'm lifting. Just like do this, be fun. Just a little bit of variability. My adductor, for me, it's my adductors that get fucked. Basically, I come out there screaming my adductors, and I know what I need to do when I go back is a shit ton of hamstring work. Because I've obviously done a lot more kind of sprinting and running and stuff, and it's just highlighted to me that I would say I normally have quite strong hamstrings, but because I have not trained on the GHR and all that kind of stuff for kind of those high effort sprints, I'm just nowhere near where I need to be. Even like, so performing, when people take the PT core, you'll probably see my face after a couple of the hamstring sliders. I'm like, Jesus, this is hard. I'm like, how many reps have I got to do?
Yeah, it's just simple stuff like that. I think that when I don't want to scaremonger people, obviously, like you say, but it is that point of when you go back to the gym, don't go in there and try military press standing up. Just take a half kneeling position, grab one dumbbell, do a single arm press, because you put your whole body under much less pressure, but you still train your shoulder joint and movement through that range with a weight that it can handle, and you're not giving your body too much to stress about. Same with that, doing hamstring sliders instead of doing 100 kilo RDLs, probably a good place to start, right? Doing single leg RDLs with 40 kilos, probably a better place to start than doing 100 kilo RDLs. Same Bulgarian split squats with 20 kilos in a goblet, better for you to do than to do 80 kilo front squats. It's about understanding the force generated on your body, but still getting a training response out of it. So going single leg, for example, is going to be a great way to reduce the load, because you always reduce the load by more than half when you do that. You know, if you can back squat 120, you don't split squat 60 straight away. You know, you go to something near 40 or whatever. And it's just important to remember that you probably are better off doing that because of the amount of load that has to go through your whole body to deal with that. And obviously there's caveats to certain exercises, there always is, but it's about using your brain and sort of making sure that you're aware that actually, look, a dumbbell reverse lunge right now with 20 kilos is a smarter movement for your body, for your knees, for everything, than doing like forward lunges with a barbell on your back, right? It's things like that. It's just about understanding what you're trying to do. Yeah, and doing like cable curls, 20 rep bicep curls with one cable with one hand is going to be better for you than trying to do 5 reps with a barbell curl. Little things like that. It's about using your brain for the first few weeks and planning a program whereby for the first sort of 6 weeks getting back in there, you think about these things so that when you do after those 6 weeks, your body will be like, right, I'm ready to back squat. I'm ready to do those bigger movements you want me to do. Stuff that to me and you would just come naturally when you're training, or any good coach would come naturally to them when they're training for the, you know, they're programming for their clients. It's just trying to remember that for yourself, because you think you're different, you think you're superhuman, and you're not. So yeah, that's I noticed it. Because I got the pull-up bar in the garage put up, and I did the first session back. I did like 3 sets of 5 or something like that. Next day, my elbows were like, oh my god, what the fuck have you just done? And it's because I've not done it for so long. And there's a lot of load, there's a lot of force, there's a lot of trauma going through there, and felt it straight away in my elbows. Everywhere else was fine. It was the elbows. And it's just remembering that, yeah, you're lifting up 78 kilos for 5 or 6 reps, and you haven't done that for a long time, and it's all on you know, your elbows pretty much at that point. So it's just highlighting it, you know.
Wow, you got this. I went and did pull-ups and stuff, but I get it straight in my back, like just wait a minute, feel it, mate. But
yeah.
But
well, no, my back was sore, but I mean, like, it was more that dull ache. It was more that dull ache, you know, and you're like, that was so yeah. But
as if it was, I thought you would give me a nice segue there into single limb training. It was just something that I think it's something that we have to talk about, right? Because we do a lot. I think it's a lot of single limb training, but it's something that I think both myself and Dan, and probably coaches that we talk to, or like some of our stuff, just start to resonate towards. Obviously, there's a lot of place for bilateral training, but what Dan said was just like you can manipulate the load, and maybe the stresses on one particular limb can be kind of, I don't know, validate a little bit more, because you're like, all right, I don't have to actually physically lift this crazy load, but I can still get that stressing response on one limb. And even there, we're kind of like playing at a ballpark figure. Maybe I'm getting a little bit more bang for my buck because we've got some sort of rotational or anti-rotational or anti-flexion or anti-extension element to something like that we're not always aware of. And we probably don't have a lot of it when we're doing bilateral work. So there's definitely there's probably more anti-flexion, anti-extension, but there's not as much anti-rotation because you're not one-sided. There's nothing that going on. But it just reminded me, because I was talking about single limb exercises, and I had to dig up one of the papers that we reference a fair bit. It's by a chap called Alex Natera, Natera. If you want to go look it up, it's pretty, like, it's just one of the papers that we like to, when we talk about this stuff, is what we reference. It'd be the load comparison ratio in single and double leg movements. And it's basically saying, so the purpose of that study was when comparing prescribing loads for single leg squats or jump movements, there is a tendency to assume that the load will be half of what the athlete performs in a double leg movement. Whilst this is a reasonable starting point, the reality is that a single leg movement is more challenging, and we cannot make this assumption. is basically what they've basically said the purpose of that study. And obviously that comes out as the conclusion. The use of segmental analysis, evaluation loads acting above, blah, 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 around the hip joint, the single leg that helps to provide some logical understanding, exercise progression, relative intensities, and each of the amount of additional loading required elicit the same levels of loading through the limbs. So it was a case of that assumption, right? So a single leg will be more challenging and taxing for that reason on the rest of the body for some sort of stability issue and all this kind of stuff, which is what we allude to. It's like, all right, we probably want to do some of that to get back into the gym instead of like, bosh, here's as much load as we can possibly do through one plane or just one movement, two joints, but all the way through it. And we can probably start to be like, all right, we're just going to load one joint, but we're going to have a combination of something that's helping it, but it's going to be a little bit more challenging. And then don't go in and going, like we said before, right? If you can bench press 2 dumbbells that like your 240s, you ain't fucking doing one for your single arm, like 140. That's not happening. No chance. It's like when you're back squatting, right? It's like, all right, I can back squat, yeah. So probably when I was powerlifting, my 1RM was about 200. Like, fuck, am I going to go straight into a 100 kilo rear foot elevated back squat, something like that? That's not happening. Like, it's barbaric. So it's being justified with those things, and you can realize with the same response and same, well, I'm going to say hardness. That's not a good word. Stress,
difficulty.
Yeah. Difficulty. There you go. I knew you were here for a reason. I was like, who's this guy just watching me? Yeah, the same difficulty. You can still create that response and that training response, and not having to push as hard with load. Which I hope it's breaking through, Daniel. We're getting more inking into the PT industry, that people realize that you don't always just have to chuck more load on. You can do single limb stuff. It takes twice as long with your clients as well. So yeah, it's great. You don't have to plan as much of a session. From a planning point of view, probably have to pair it though. So because they get more rest on the other side as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I think as well, the other thing with single limb, I think, is not being afraid to understand that having rest between each leg can be, or each arm can be useful. I think there's sometimes if with Bulgarian squats, I recommend for clients, if they're working, say 6, 7, 8 reps each side, I would sort of say, look, do that, then do something else in the middle of that, and then go back to the leg. Because it can be really taxing.
I make them do a little like 30-second like wiggle, go walk off. If we're doing a big set, like I'd be like, wiggle, go walk off. Do maybe what would be your increasing stretching of something like that. If we're trying to basically, we're mobilizing and loading that joint, the chances are I'm going to throw in a mobilizing joint exercise. Usually if we're on a bench, that'd be like that kind of high adduction, hip, stretchy pigeon thing on the bench, and they'd be loading through that, and then they'd crack onto the next one. You've got load, you've got stretch, and it will get that load again. So they've increased their range of motion as well. It's like bang for buck. But yeah, I totally get that, because there's certainly the biggest one I see for that is the Bulgarian split squats, or like the isometric split squats, where I see coaches would be like, they'd just go straight into the other side. And I'm like, what? Yeah. I'm like, what? That's madness. I was like, yeah, you're doing a split squat, but you realize that isn't a single limb exercise, right? What? Yeah. The back leg's still working. Yeah, maybe we've got a 60 to 70, 30 split on it, but it's still on. It totally depends on how much pressure you're shifting forwards and where that load's sitting. It's like, if that leg is still touching the surface, it's still kind of on. Like, it hasn't switched off. You don't have switched off your glutes. Don't worry. They're not off. Don't happen. So it's an interesting way, because I talk about that in one of the courses of manipulating the split squat, of how we going forwards, big lean forward, and I'm going, that's probably more of a 70% to 30%, and then I drift them all the way back to kind of just an up and down kind of motion. And you're like, I say this is 50-50. I think I can feel my back leg and the quad, where my back leg's in complete extension. I think I can feel my quad just as much as I can on my front leg, in my perspective. But they're like, well, it shouldn't be. I was like, why not? Why shouldn't it be that? Who made the rules? I didn't realize it was like, well, I feel like that. No. It's hilarious talking about that. But yeah, Interesting. That moves us on to slightly body part splits, Dan. What's your opinion? Because I feel like obviously I'm with obviously I love my cohort and obviously teaching the PT level 3s and stuff like that. But there is a tendency, and they'll learn more because they know more is coming. But there is still the people who stop at level 3. They're the issue, it seems, or it's still. I feel like the bodybuilding world has gotten smaller or is not as popular anymore. And I hate the word functional training, and people have used it to describe my training over the last 3 or 4 weeks. And I'm like, oh, you're more of a functional coach. I was like, what? No. What does that even mean?
I still get really annoyed seeing that word thrown around, and it really annoys me when I see people trying to sell programs when they use that word. I'm just like, oh, shut the fuck up. You don't know what I mean. Yeah, look, the body part split is still, for me, is completely useless. And for the majority of my clients, it will be as well. And I haven't really got a problem for PT wants to train that way and they train 6 days a week and they want to do it that way. That's fine. As long as people are aware it's not the most efficient way to train, but they still do it because they like it. I'm like, that's cool. I'm not going to have a go at you for that. Like, some people like to just feel the pump in a certain muscle group. Yeah. My issue is with people who do it because the big guy does it and they actually don't understand that it's not a very efficient way of training. We've talked about it so many times, but I just don't see the many benefits of doing it. I just don't see many benefits of it. I understand like an arm day if you really want big arms, maybe, like, but you can, you might do like push pull legs, like upper lower arms, right? If you really wanted like bigger arms and stuff, like I'd still argue you could get the same volume in on a push and a pull day as you do arms, but some people like to do both together because it feels good. And my view of it is that you should only be doing a body part split on a day like that, like arms or shoulders or whatever, if you're doing at least 5 days a week. And in the other 4 days, you've got all your volume covered where you need it to be. Then it may have some benefit to it. I think the next thing in the bodybuilding world is the whole, like, they do 2 body parts together now. So they'll do like quads and triceps. So it's not quite like, so, they've realized now that they need to get more volume in over a week and hit each muscle group twice, but they don't want to give up their body parts because they love it. They love the feeling it gives them, I think, with a pump. So they do things like quads and triceps, hamstrings and back, chest and delts, or back and calves. Like they've started moving things around based on their weak points and stuff like that. I think before COVID kicked off was probably the trend. But yeah, I just think it's boring. For me, it's boring. I've trained that way. I've done it. It's boring. Yeah. I don't. I much prefer the way I train now. But
I mean, at best, it's like archaic, right? Like it's just so outdated. And I agree with you. Like if you're a bodybuilder and that's your thing and that's what you're doing and that's how you're doing, it's like, then crack on. Then absolutely, that is probably how you need to train. I was like, to hit your body parts and how you need to do it. If you're a human, an athlete, like an everyday person, which I'm assuming 99.9% of the people who are listening or their clients are, then there's just no need. Like, it's like if you're doing that to one of your clients and you're going, actually, we're going to do chest day today, you failed them straight out the bat. Like, you failed them. It's like you're not providing best service. And I hazard just be like, even like I've gone away from, I speak right now, so I've gone away from even like the push days and stuff like that. Like even the people, I probably maximally like people who would train with me maybe train 3 to 4 times a week. I think that's the top end of what people train personally. I don't think a lot of other people really train that much more. And if they do, then well done. They're probably doing the body part splits. And I'm just like, in my perspective, I'm like, I quite happily train people's full body, like the whole time. Obviously, I'm doing it in a way like it'd be like cross-sectional, or I'm thinking about like what we talked about a few weeks ago was like, my squats going to go with like a vertical unilateral pull or something like that, and it's like, that's how I'm splitting stuff up, and it's not completely ridiculous. But yeah, it's weird, isn't it? It seems like it's resurfaced, but then I do feel like maybe because
I feel like
I've been talking about it. a little bit.
I think that's probably it. Is you've been exposed to it a bit more. I think it's still there.
Yeah.
I think it's still really prevalent. I think we're just very lucky we don't train in gyms that you see it that much. I think if you were to go into most regular pure gyms, people will be doing it. Chest day, back day, arm day, ab day. Do you know that's the way people train? The vast majority of people do train that way. And like you said, the most I've ever split it up for any of my clients is push, pull, legs, and then not many. I don't think any of my clients are doing 6 days a week. So it's push, pull, legs, upper, lower. So that's I
don't think I'd even like. I think I would do both upper and lower every single time. I don't think I'd be like. Today we're doing legs. I'd be like, what? Why? What's wrong?
So the other thing that I've done is with people who do 5 days a week as well, is the more common than push, pull, legs and stuff like that is I do upper, lower, upper, lower, upper, if they want to split those sorts of things up. Because again, 5 days doing all that sort of stuff is quite tough. But I think for the majority of general pop people, honestly, like it's full body stuff. Like it is just the best way to go about it.
It's weird as well, because just from a point of view, especially how I believe that people should be training just for like life in general, to be better people at what they do most of the time, either recreationally, better physique, all this kind of stuff. If we tend to, obviously the upper lower split exists, the push pull leg split exists. It was built off this fucking podcast. But if we were to segment that so much, and we'd be lying to ourselves if we didn't warm up our lower and upper body, like when we're doing our warm ups or something like that, we'd be absolutely like falsifying information if we didn't say that, like, all right, I'm still doing a back squat, but would there be a benefit of like getting my upper body a little bit warm to be able to lock that bar down like properly and engage what would be like your lat that's connected to probably a part of your pelvis? You're like, yeah, probably that would be a great benefit. I would strongly urge somebody to do that. I think when you're doing a bench chest day, if you're just going for some bench press or something like that, are you going to just completely just chill out on your legs? Like, all right, well, is a leg drive going to happen? No. All right, well, it does, but it's a full body push, that kind of thing. So all that stuff's in play. So it just seems a little bit like, moronic to me to like settle that down. I think it's my old age, mate. It's catching up with me.
Eventually, but I look, it's just facts though as well. Like it is full body. Like you still need certain elements of that. I think it's just.
I think that scares people as well.
Lower, they just when they say things like they mean the emphasis of each day, I suppose, rather than anything else. But
because I always say,
I've had this discussion. So I had this discussion with a client as well. Like I had this discussion with the client. They sort of said, that they were starting to notice I think they usually move around a lot more, but they were sat down a lot more during the day. And they were like, I'm finding that my lower back's getting a bit sore and tight. Have you got any good stretches for my lower back? And I was like, no. And they're like, what do you mean? I was like, well, it's your whole body. I was like, mobility is to do with your whole body. I was like, how often do you ever see someone with great hip mobility, but shit shoulder mobility or shit posture? I was like, it doesn't happen. I was like, it's a whole body thing. And like, if you work on your shoulders, your thoracic spine, everything like that, you'll find your lower back will improve when your hip mobility improves, all this sort of stuff. So I was like, you've got a full body mobility program there for you. You've got it there. Do it every day, twice a week, twice a day. And you will find you will start to improve your lower back. Not to do with training, no exercises I need to give you. You just need to move better. Your whole body needs to move better and you'll find your lower back will stop hurting. And that's the thing. People want that stretch for that muscle group, or they want that exercise for their biceps. It's like, get stronger. Have you ever seen anyone with big arms that hasn't got big shoulders, big chest, big legs? Actually, it's a lie. I mean, not big legs, but do you know what I mean? Like it's like they're just bigger. They're big. They've got bigger backs. They've got bigger. And it's the one thing I wish someone had slapped into me when I was a lot younger. Because I wasted far too long worrying about a body part split and body parts and getting bigger arms and getting bigger this. And you know what? Everything got bigger. And someone should have just said, just train hard, train heavy, eat enough food. I spent far too long when I was younger cutting calories and not eating it. I should have just fucking gone for it, gung ho, like eating loads of food, and it would have been easier now. But it's that sort of element to it.
I think those obviously they might have been taking steroids, but you look at some of those beasts that are training the NFL, beasts. And like they train all of this like cross-sectional body, full body.
They go on diets?
Sprinting, they're doing plyos, they're doing all this kind of movement jazz, and all the bodybuilders going, no, we can't do that. We'll take away from my gains.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Have you seen that lad? Like,
Yeah.
No, it doesn't exist. It's that it enhances you, surely, and you can move as a human.
But it's hard to get that through to people. It really is.
I'm not talking like the top bodybuilders, but like the people who kind of just want to be like that thing. Oh no, that'll detriment to my gains. It's like, fucking no, it won't.
yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? It's people don't realize. And look, we're all naive to things. We're all naive to it. Like none of us are perfect. But it's well, I remember when I was younger, I used to think like some of those NFL players, they're on steroids. Like
of course they were.
Some of them are fucking crazy. But it's more. I think it's that unrealistic. I never knew how unrealistic it was. I used to think, it was possible. It's not. It's not without steroids.
It's not always possible, is it?
So yeah, it's tough. It's tough to take. But you know what? It's like you said. I think if you train for strength, speed, power, all that sort of stuff, and you move around a lot, and you can eat more calories for it, you'll get a better physique. I just wish more people spent more time focused on improving lift, strength, numbers, and alongside it ate plenty of food, and they'd realize that they can actually really get quite big, rather than just constantly worrying about dieting all the time. Most people just go 4 weeks on, 4 weeks off, and just do that thing. Whereas actually, no one really tracks calories to maintain their weight and just focus on performance. Like I'm trying to get this into like a lot of my clients at the moment is like when you're back in the gym, you're not going to be trying to lose weight. We're trying to make sure that you maintain your body comp whilst getting stronger and eating more calories. And you'll be amazed come next time you diet, how much easier it's going to be when you only need 4 or 5 weeks and then you go back to eating more. It's loads more fun. It's loads more fucking fun eating more food and getting stronger. I promise you. Like, it's that whole thing of people can't wait to diet. And it's like, no, it's because you fuck up the gaining element of it because you don't focus on what you need to focus on. A bit of a tangent, but that's what all these guys are doing. Like all these American footballers, all these bodybuilders, they spend more time in a surplus of calories than they do in a deficit. That's how you grow. If you spend the majority of your lifetime eating more food and growing, you will look better for it. That's the reality of it. I'm guilty of that. That's one of the biggest mistakes I made. I should have spent more time eating fuckloads of food and training hard.
That'd be fun. Gyms are open soon, so we're good.
Maybe soon, yeah. Maybe soon I'll just go for it. Fuck it, just get a fat dad bod, and then cut down for a photo shoot and do one of those photos where you go the before picture and then oh dear.
Nice. All right, we will wrap there, my friend. As
wrap it up.
My battery's getting low.
Your battery's gonna go. Oh, no.
It's not gonna go. We're
cable, did he?
I did. I brought my cable, but it can't fit into the plug I'm nearest to because of a oddly placed shelf. You know about that kind of random crap, Daniel. So yeah, oddly placed furniture and stuff like that. We won't go into that because who puts a radiator in the middle of the wall? Do you know? Come on, it's in the wrong place. It needs to move that way a bit. Yeah, that's a story for another show, mate.
It is.
All right, well, check out Home Improvement Podcast. It's going to come out in the next couple of weeks. So, all right, mate. Any other business?
No, not from me.
All right, if any of our cohort, we just started my protein cohort and our current cohort. We got cohorts coming out of our ears at the PTC. We had everybody passed their level 2, then do the level 3 in 3 weeks, 2 weeks, something like that. And then the My Protein gang, we got 10 special people selected from, I'm going to go 750, 800. I think they beat off that much competition. Quite a rigorous selection process. And their prize is to get taught by me and Luke for 11 weeks.
What a great surprise that is.
I know, awful shame. So yeah, we're gonna we'll keep their track and see what they're doing because it's quite interesting. So go look at the My Protein PT scheme because we'll probably do some more and you might be selected. So crack on that. And if you're a part of that cohort, hey, you're probably sick of my voice already because you're listening to it nonstop on your videos. So lovely. Unfortunate. Yeah, don't listen to my podcast if you're in one of my classes. So yeah. All right, mate. Thanks for listening, guys, and we will catch you next week.
See you later.